Bueno, buenos días a todos.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Pablo Gonzalo. I'm in charge of the Department of Culture at Fundación Telefónica and Espacio Fundación Telefónica. And I would like to say thank you for being here with us, for logging into this presentation to talk a little bit with Joanie Lemercier and about his work, Paisajes de Luz. Of course, I would like to thank Joanie Lemercier for the fact of being here, and his curator, of course, for being here today. Joanie, thank you very much. Joanie is the artist whose work we are showing today, and Juliette is the curator, and well, she is and has been the curator. Thank you very much for being here with us. Thank you, Joanie. Thank you, Juliette, for this wonderful exhibition. And I would like to say thank you to Maria Brancos, who is in charge of exhibitions here at Espacio Fundación Telefónica, who will moderate a roundtable with them so that you can know their exhibition in detail. And besides, I would like to congratulate her and the team, all the colleagues that have made this event come true, and that we have the possibility of enjoying this exhibition from today on. I think that in a world that was quite complex, but that is getting increasingly complex, full of noise, full of uncertainty, well, the fact of calming down in order to reflect a little bit and to think and to try to foster the critical thinking and more relaxed view towards reality, and to try to understand the world we live in, I think that is more important than ever. And we strongly believe that the fact of paying attention to how the technological revolution that we're all involved in is more important than ever, and is setting great and humongous challenges, but we also have great opportunities with it. And we have opportunities not only in the field of education and economy, in the social field, but also great opportunities in the world of creativity and thinking. And this exhibition that we kick off today, well, I think that it is a great example of this, because I think that Joanie makes an ally or sets an alliance with technology in order to help us look to the environment in a different way, and in order to be in front of great challenges that we have to face, and they are really overwhelming and significant. For example, the impact that the human being is having on the environment. So it's the first great exhibition of Joanie Lemercier in Spain. We are very happy and very proud that it's happening here at Fundación Telefónica, and especially we are very, very happy and very proud of the fact that you can enjoy it from today and for the months to come. So thank you very much to Joanie and Juliette, and that's all by my side, and I'll leave you with the protagonists, with Joanie, with Juliette and Maria. Thank you very much.
Bueno, pues como decía.
Okay, so as Pablo was saying, it's really exciting to be able to present a physical exhibition. Our first conversations started around 2019, I think, in a very different world compared to the one that we have today. But I think that this time has given us the possibility of developing the exhibition that we are starting today, and well, I think it's a very relevant and pertinent project right now. Besides, I think that it's really exciting to present Joanie's project after Bill Biolak exhibition that you know that we finished with this exhibition 15 days ago. Bill Biolak is an artist with an international background. He has been working for many years, and the fact of presenting Joanie's work, who is in the middle of his career, of course, he has an international background that is very important, but he is at a different point of his career. I think that this makes out of the Foundation Telefónica a place where we are developing this creativity that has to do with technology, and that is very, very important, as Pablo has said. And it's about seeing how we apply this creativity and how we settle the uncertainties that we have today through the use of technological tools. In fact, something that has caught my attention is that, well, yesterday was the day of the safe internet, and some voices were claiming for a critical and creative use of the digital tools. So I think that it is this project is very pertinent right now, and everything that, well, the agenda that we've had to set after the pandemic has enabled us to have a very happy coincidence. And this is a dialogue between the exhibition that we have of Mr. Fuller on the 3rd floor and the exhibition of Joanie. Fuller is on the 3rd floor and Joanie is on the 4th floor. You know that Fuller was a person that in some way combined this combination between technology, creativity, nature as a way to rethink about solutions for the great challenges that we have to face. So I think that it is very interesting to have these two projects together at the same space. Well, you know that the idea of this conversation is to allow everybody that can't be here to get to know this exhibition. We want to say that the foundation is a safe place. There's a team that relentlessly is working to make it safe. So we encourage you to come here to see it physically. And before we start, I would like to say thank you. Well, Pablo has done it before, but I would like to say that again. Thanks to all the team that has been part of this project. Of course, Joanie and Juliet, because of their talent and their energy to make this development and deployment come true for 6 months. I would like to say thank you to the coordination team, Marta Banak and Sara Cabanes, Martin Pearson, yeah, and the team that has set the event, etc. Well, without further ado, if you want, I'll give the floor to Juliet, who has been the curator of this exhibition. He is in charge of Lemercier Studios since 2014. She is a specialist in digital art and technology art. She has been the curator of many projects and has collaborated with many international artists. Since 2019, she is a curator of Stripe Festival, in Eindhoven. And she's a co-founder of a platform that is called Saloon that generates a network of women artists on international scale. And Joanie, that, as you know, is one of the pioneers of video mapping. He was the co-founder of the anti-VJ group. I had never said that in Spanish. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. You know that they participated at many festivals with the use of video mapping from a very artistic point of view. And since 2010, he's highly focused on his personal work and on a proposal that has gone through the artistic works. So thank you very much for being here. It has been great to have you here. It has been a great feat. Sometimes we really didn't know if this could happen, so it's great to be here today, and thank you very much for being here. If you want, we would like to start with Juliet, that will explain the general aspects of the exhibition, and we will continue with Joanie. The idea is to go through the 7 facilities that conform the exhibition. We will watch a small clip of every piece and we'll comment on it. Thank you.
So first, I'm going to continue with the many thank yous, so we can leave this behind us. So we would also like to thank everyone who made this possible. So of course, our team, and you mentioned Martin, who really helped us on site, but we also work with Marie Duel, who's a great scenographer, and then the fantastic team of the Fundación Telefónica. Pablo mentioned it's the first big exhibition of Joanie in Spain, but you have to know it's the first big exhibition of Joanie at all. So for us, it was a really big challenge, and I think we could not have had a better team on the exhibition side to make this possible. I'm a bit emotional because it's very special for us after the past months. And it's also been, in a way, I think the exhibition is maybe better than it could have been if we had not been forced to be stuck in our studio for the past couple of months. But it's been so strange to be in this exhibition setup bubble in the past 10 days. And you can really experience that there is a big part of mental health that needs to be taken care of. So I think people should come visit the exhibition also as a way to keep going, and because we don't know for how long our lives are going to be different. And I strongly believe that exhibition spaces are very safe spaces. So please come visit the show, and we hope you will enjoy it. Just a quick word about my vision of the show as a curator. So it's the first time I am curating a solo show. I've only done group shows so far, and it was particularly difficult for me to curate something around Joanie because I am so deep into everything he does that it was difficult for me to have this step back. But my vision of the show, on top of these landscapes of light that we like to call lightscapes, is really this idea of sharing with the audience various point of views. So for us, the relationship with nature is a relationship between your body and the nature around you. Joanie has always tried to escape from the flat surface of the screen, so we try to create more immersive environments with the installations we present. So walking in the space and experiencing the installations, you will have different point of views, different scale relationships. And that's more of a literal aspect of point of views in the first part of the exhibition, whereas on the second part it's going to be more figurative. And we invite the audience to also have more of a political point of view on the world that is around us. So it's really two different sides of the same coin that we hope to convey in this exhibition. And I think we will explain this better going through the next couple of minutes. So the idea today is really kind of take you by the hand and like if you were on tour with us experiencing the show. But be sure that it's going to be very, very different from being in the space and experiencing this, because there's just so much you can do with virtual tools, even if we like to use them too.
Perfecto, pues si os parece...
Okay, so...
Installation. Os quería recordar, perdón.
I'd like to remind you that if there's any question, we are channeling them through our networks, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. So you can ask them during the event, and we will leave some minutes for a Q&A. So I don't know if the colleagues can play the first clip. Edges.
Pues esto es un pequeñísimo...
Well, it's just an appetizer of the first work, the first piece that you can find. I think that it's much better to see it live, so I invite you to go to the exhibition.
So yeah, I'm really glad, as Juliette said, it's been so many months without those conversations and these spaces, so I'm really thankful to Telefónica and all the team, and also Juliette has been like a key core of everything that happened, so I want to thank you again for like holding everything together with all of us. So Edges is the first thing you see when you step in. And it's meant to represent the very beginning of my practice, almost 15 years ago, because this aesthetic, the grid and the minimal elements and the beauty of the lights and how the lines sort of light up the space and the different planes, I try to encapsulate all the elements of my practice based on geometry and patterns. So it's the first thing you see, but it's actually the most recent piece that I almost like finished in the space a few days ago. So it's very symbolic. It's me looking back at so many years of work and trying to put everything in one short experience. It's very abstract. And I think it's the perfect introduction. It's almost like a demo of the technology. But I understand it also, it's a statement that it's very basic, it's very simple, it's really beautiful. Does it say much? That's a question I'm still asking. And the rest of the exhibition, I think, develops a lot about the aesthetic, the meaning, the stories, the narratives, the nature, etc. But this one piece, it was very difficult for me to like sum up so many years into one installation. And it was only possible because the exhibition was delayed, so I had more time at the studio to think about it with Juliette, and with you we had all these back and forth conversation. So the piece only exists because of the state of the world and our conversation all together. And I think it's a good way to start the exhibition with this work we did in almost together.
This installation is kind of saying hello to you when you enter, and it's silent and rather slow. So it's also to put the audience in a special tempo, maybe to also tell you that now is the time to slow down, and it's really an exhibition that you should take the time to discover. Some installations have a little bit more of wow, but sometimes you have to wait for the wow moments. So yeah, I think the first piece, Edges, really gives the tempo of the whole exhibition.
There's also a thing about light and perception that we didn't talk about. That's really leitmotif in all your project, and that can be seen all along the exhibition, right? That's very clearly pointed in this.
Yeah, I think after maybe 5 or 6 years of working with the medium of light, we did a show in New York called Light as a Medium and Space as a Canvas. I love using light as a medium, but not on a flat projection screen. I like the idea of playing with perception, with different planes. If you look at this first piece, also it's a series of short pieces put together, I guess. And there's one that is just a projection of a cube in a corner, and that's a bit of a homage or a little clin d'œil to James Turrell, who in 1968 started his projection series, and he did it really beautifully. It's just one slide projected in a corner. He did the cubes and pyramids and triangles. So his work, that is the most analog you can find. There's really not much technology and projectors and video projectors, I mean. But you will find another clin d'œil to James Turrell in the final piece, which, of course, as an artist, I'm always inspired by the previous movements. And Turrell, I think, has I'm not comparing myself to him, but I guess our love for perception and light and how we perceive reality through light, I think there's some common grounds there.
Maybe now it's more common not to see this, although I think this piece is really, really special and different from other things, but we are more used to see video mapping and how light alters reality. But how was that when you started, that you suddenly realized that you do something with a machine, a projector, you do something with light, and suddenly reality is different.
I think the first iteration, the realization came from when we did with AntiVJ projection mapping on architecture. So we almost discovered that by accident, because you use the digital tools, you do a 3D scan of a building, and you reproject this 3D scan, and then you realize that when you move the 3D objects, then it feels like the building is moving. So you realize there's this idea of trompe-l'œil and altering the perception, and then you just iterate until you can really move things around and you can really question our perception of reality.
Should we move on? Do you want to see... now is La Montagne, sorry. Okay.
It's kind of difficult to remain quiet, but as this is a virtual tour of the exhibition, this is another silent piece, and I think it's very important to look at it with a bit of silence. La Montagne is kind of the introduction to Joanie's landscapes. And what I like about this piece is how it kind of evolved through time. The first version of La Montagne was in a specific context with a lot of other artworks around from other artists, and it was maybe more in your face in the kind of effects. And then we got to show it on the top of the tallest tower of Tokyo. And when we were setting it up, we had this view on you could see the Mount Fuji very far away, and it was winter time, and I think the more like Japanese atmosphere and the fact that we had this really big black box to show it really motivated Joanie to change the content. So the physical wallpaper prints remained the same, but the content turned into something much more contemplative and slow. And I think it's something that is also common in different pieces of the exhibition, is how they evolve through time, and how Joanie uses these digital tools and the fact that it tricks our perception of reality by also changing it. So this snowstorm that is my favorite moment of this piece came really from being in Tokyo in January with the snow around.
And when you visit the exhibition, this is the second piece you see, and actually after the grid that you see in edges, this mountain is also made from a grid. When you get close to the wall and you look at it, you realize it's a very large grid, and there's an elevation of all the points that modify this grid. So from a distance, it looks like a mountain chain, a high mountain rather. But then you realize when you get closer that it's a digital construction. So it's a blend of this digital layer of technology that animates and that tells the story, but also the core of the visual is also the grid and the digital. I think this grid sort of follows us all along the exhibition, and there's also the metaphor of the power grid, that we need those power grid to power the projector and the technology and etc. So also in the following piece that we will see, Fuji and Eya, also based on that grid, which I believe is my way to symbolize a technology and that sort of connected world almost. But yeah, La Montagne is this first sort of blend of grid and nature.
Yeah, as a viewer, it's really striking because you cannot tell whether it's real or it's a simulation. So it's intriguing, and yeah, it's very beautiful.
In the exhibition, it's in this piece that you see the most advanced hyperrealism type of texture that Joanie uses. It's also a way to, I mean, when in Joanie's pieces things are not realistic, it's not like he doesn't know how to do it. It's that he feels it doesn't bring anything to the piece. So it was really something very special when you did La Montagne to suddenly play with these textures and maybe more complex type of design in the content.
Should we see Ella and Fuji together, or you prefer to do one and the other next?
No, let's show both and then talk about both.
Okay, pues si nos podéis proyectar las...
So if you can play Aya and Fuji, please.
These movie clips are really good. Congratulations to your team for making this so fast and really well done.
There's an amazing team who's been working till very late.
Yeah, the people from the people in the shadow. I know about that. So you will be in one room where the two volcanoes are facing each other. So it's a very immersive space because then you have 4 walls with projection, but it's playing alternatively. The nickname of the Icelandic volcano is Eyja, but Joanie will demo his. Can you say it in your best Icelandic?
So I think it's Eyjafjallajökull.
Yeah,
wow.
Years of practice.
10 years of practice and still not
well
perfect.
Done.
And basically, so I was offered my first artistic residency in the States in 2010. So I was so excited because I was already obsessed by the amazing landscapes, and my plan was to travel the US. And just the day I was supposed to take my plane, the volcano erupted. And as you remember, we were all grounded, all planes were cancelled, and I was basically liaising with the production team on a daily basis to try to get myself on a plane every day for 10 days. I think we were like phoning each other every couple of hours, and I had the news on all day long. So I was obsessed by the volcano, as many of us were. And finally, I managed to get on a plane, get to the residency 2 days before the opening, and the only thing I could do when I entered this empty room, this empty space, was to draw the volcano that I was so obsessed by. And considering the short amount of time we had to set up on site, I couldn't really do anything super ambitious in terms of technology because it had to be quick. So I had to find a trick to do a projection mapping piece, very precisely mapped with something. So I came up with this reverse mapping technique, where I turn up with a file, I put the projector on, I project my silhouette, and then I just trace everything. And once it's traced, the video, then it's perfectly mapped. So it's like the reverse mapping was actually a trick to gain time. And now it has become a sort of foundation of a series of work, very much inspired by the work of Sol Lewitt and his wall drawings that we continue and that we develop.
I like to call this, to say that this piece is a little bit vintage. It's from 2010, and you can really tell by the content.
It's prehistory of technology.
Exactly. But it's really part of its character that it is like, you will see if we had to do the smoke of the volcano today, it would for sure be very different, but it has its own charm. And I think it's important what technology and the result of technologies say about a time, and then it would be a special discussion about our relationship to technologies and me as a curator, what artists say and tell us about that. And for example, the complex texture you have in La Montagne were made accessible to us only a couple of years ago, because even 10 years ago, you would have needed crazy Hollywood production money to get access to computers that would allow that. Whereas nowadays, these technologies are becoming more accessible every day, and therefore they have an impact on what is possible to create. And I really see digital artists as the hackers of what's available on the market. Doesn't matter if you take a technology that is from the shelf and you use it as it comes, or if you hack it or make your own tools. But there are very complex and underlying stories to be told in this relationship. Like when we got access to this technique to hack a specific kind of video projectors that would allow to do really big projections with very small video projectors. It had a big impact on the budgets, but also on having the technology disappearing, where you would usually have a really big projector that would be very present, then you would have really small ones. So I'm really against making digital art about the technologies being used, but it's always interesting to see what they bring to the artistic vision of the artist. So in front of this Icelandic volcano, you have Fuji. So we were invited, was it 2013? 14, in Japan for the first time for the two of us, and we were invited to show the Icelandic volcano. And on the plane, I actually told Joanie, like, isn't it strange to go to the country of Mount Fuji and show an Icelandic volcano? So on the plane, Joanie decided that he would make a new piece around the Mount Fuji. So I think in a way it was similar to Eya, that you had to do everything really, really quickly.
And actually the technique allows to do all the production of the idea and the content prior to arriving in the venue, which is not common in like projection mapping. You often have to visit the place once to register the building, and so it's a lot of back and forth. But in this case, so we were inspired by everything we've heard about Japan, but actually I wanted the story of this piece to be a little bit different, because the Eyjafjallajökull is basically the eruption and just nature showing its strength and disrupting human activities. But we wanted this to be more subtle in a way. And Juliette found this amazing reference, the story of Kaguya Hime, which is the oldest popular tale of Japan. It was written in the 10th century. So it's the oldest known tale. And it's the story of a little princess that comes from the moon. And she's actually found in a bamboo, and there's a long story. So when Juliette found this reference, we based the narratives of the projection on the different chapters of this story. So at the end, you won't see the princess, but we are telling the story through light. So you will see the bamboo, the light, and the moon at the end when no spoilers, but when the princess goes back to the moon, you will be able to find these elements.
So for Japanese people, they really see Mount Fuji as a connection to the cosmos, because she uses the Mount Fuji as an elevator to go back to the moon. So I think it's a really interesting way to look at high mountains and volcanoes. Talking about the narratives and storytelling in Fuji, I think it's a good moment to mention our relationship with music. So this is something you will find in the Two Volcanoes series and also in the Ambar piece. So we are very lucky to collaborate with amazing musicians, sound artists that are the people we usually, with whom the collaboration is smooth, is usually people who are used to work for big movie productions and who really know how to bring a lot of the storytelling in the music. So there is a lot of emotion in the soundtrack of Fuji, and you will see in the different parts of Ambar that the music also tells a story. So do you want to mention the artists you collaborated with in this exhibition?
Yeah, we try to put, not all works have music, but Eya Fiatlayukut has, and it's part of the track was made by Robert Henke, who's also known under the name Monolake, and Paul Gebanezam, who's a producer based in Bristol in the UK, where I used to live. And then in Fuji, it's also mostly Paul Gebanezam, and we have Rolly Porter later in the exhibition. And Paul Gebanezam again. But this label Subtext, which is run by my friend James Ginsberg from Empty Set, and he also has a lot of projects. Their universe and the way they work also with cinema, and they do big trailers for Transformers, that sort of thing. But they also have an amazing music practice, and I think in their music there are already narratives, and I base a lot of my chapters and transitions and developments on that original idea of narrative that is embedded in the music, I think.
So, creo que podemos seguir con
I think that we can continue with Passage Possible.
Paysage. Creo que es muy interesante esto que apuntaba Juliette.
I think this was very interesting, as Juliette was saying, how artists use technology before it becomes into mainstream. And I think that we have some of this in Passage Possibles, the fact of pushing the possibilities that technology offers, the possibility that digital tools offers us.
So we need to hire your videographers for our next exhibition.
They are all ours. Sorry.
So you were actually missing the sound. This piece is not really silent because the sound that the plotter machine makes is really part of the piece, and this is kind of the sound of our studio because it's on like every day for months and months. Joanie, do you want to quickly explain?
So the idea of making plotter drawings came from a frustration, I guess, of doing a lot of projection about nature, but always in an installation context. So I would do the work, but then it will be projected somewhere in a museum or in an exhibition. But I would never sort of keep something physical. That's the problem with digital and virtual, is that you can't, it's just a file on a hard drive. And so using the plotter machine, it allows me to create a landscape, like a physical drawing, which for every project I start, it starts with a sketch on paper, and then it becomes digital. So I wanted to explore landscapes, which are all generative. They're all made with mathematics, but it takes 8 to 20 hours to make a drawing. So while it's being made, I can actually stare at it for hours and think about the next one. And then I have a physical thing I put on the wall, and then I create series and compositions, and then I make iterations, which is very important in digital arts and algorithms in general. They help you to iterate things that would be too long to draw manually or just too time consuming. So that's why those are some of the reasons why I use this plotter. Actually, plotter drawings are popular in digital art since the 60s, 70s. We did a project with Vera Molnar last year. She's one of the pioneers of digital arts. She's in her 19s now, and she still works in Paris.
Right?
Yeah. So it's nothing new, but I guess now with the software we have, we can do more details, more complexity, more intricate. There's also the idea that the machine is making the exhibition. So we brought the machine, we put it on a table, we give instruction, and as we speak, the machine is creating the drawings that will be shown to the public. So it questions also the place of technology and machines and robots in our society, because as we know, it's not gonna decrease. Machines, robots, and algorithm will become part of the society even more. And that's a little bit worrying and scary, but also that's how it is. So it's a way for me also to question the position of algorithms in society. And it makes beautiful mountains, so...
And this piece also embodies a topic that is in other installations and other projects of Joanie that are not in this exhibition, is the interest for glitches and artifacts, because the drawings are not perfect, because the mistakes happens. It can be something happening in the room, like I don't know, a strong wind. Well, let's hope not. This cannot happen, but the paper could move, the pen could have an ink problem, the plotter could also have a weird glitch that should not happen, because we have this idea that technology is reliable, predictable, and this piece is also a way for us to show that it is not, and maybe that's the beauty of it. This is something we found a lot in the machine learning and some other projects, and Joanie did several projects that really use the artifacts you get by doing some 3D scannings, and it's not perfect, because what would be the point of just reproducing the same thing? If we wanted perfect, really complex landscapes, we would use regular digital prints. So behind the plotter, you have this wall composition of research, mistakes, drawings that are completely wrong, but are somehow really beautiful. So we invite the audience to really take a look. And the ones that are in the corridor are what we call masterpieces. We consider them masterpieces, but some of them also have glitches that are, one of them has a part that is white, and it's nice to think maybe it's the snow on the mountain, whereas it was not planned, it was not on purpose, Joanie may not have even thought about it. So that's where we put the collaboration between the artist and the machine.
Actually, when we were doing the selection, quite often the ones we liked the most were the ones that had errors, probably because it reminds you of a human doing the drawing, no? So it was a very interesting process.
Yeah, perfection is boring.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and suddenly you find Hambach. Si nos podéis proyectar la siguiente.
If you can play the next one, it's an installation that is composed by 3 pieces. Yep. We're going to see them all together. But at the exhibition, they are at different spaces.
This one. Sí, ¿podéis pararla, porfa? Sí.
Yeah, can you stop it? Yep. Can you stop it, please?
I guess this is the with edges. It's the most recent work, and it's a difficult one. It's I went completely outside my comfort zone, so it's not about the beauty. It's not only about the beauty of light and the perception and mountains and nature, but it sort of feels like the continuity of it. So basically, the first thing you see is this beautiful forest with lit by laser. And it's quite wonderful, it's beautiful, it's sort of magical, and it's really immersive, so you sort of feel in this magical space. And spoilers again, when you then exit the space, you see the back of the projection screen, and you realize by seeing this construction, you realize that this immersive room is also a construction. It's something we should talk about when we do immersive spaces and immersive digital nature. It can be beautiful, but it's also a mise en scène. It's not reality. We're recreating a version of nature that we love and that we think is beautiful. And then when you continue, you see this the big coal mine that sort of changed my life 2 years ago when I discovered it. And actually, I use technology to do this work. I use little drones to make those images of the different locations. And what's striking is that this coal mine is actually beautiful. The colors, the scale, I think it echoes the sublime. And what I'm obsessed with the work of Caspar David Friedrich and the romantic painters. So actually those views sort of express and explore the sublime. But also they show the destruction of nature. So it's still in the line of my interest for beauty and nature, but when I discovered this place, I was really worried, and I still am, about energy consumption, the impact of technologies, and all these questions. I think it's not a no-go for me. I will keep using, of course, electricity, technology, drones, projectors, but now I want, ideally, my shows to also include those questions. And I have to thank Fundación Telefónica for leaving me some space to express those concerns and those questions. Those discussions, I think, are really important. And as an artist, of course, my own consumption is something I now consider. And yeah, I think it's just important and healthy to discuss these topics. And yeah, the drone is such an amazing piece of technology. It's a bit of a gadget, but you can actually produce artworks that were not possible to produce on that scale, on that budget, even a few years ago. It's so tiny that you don't see the drone, so it's easy to go in a lot of different places. And of course, I always operate the drone when there's no one around, so there's no, it's sort of safe. But technology can be an amazing tool for this kind of exploration about the sublime and beauty and nature.
So earlier I was mentioning this question of point of views. So now you are kind of entering the second part of the show, where we invite you to also have an active point of view in your relationship with the world. So, but we do it quite gently by starting with this beautiful laser lit forest. But then you're facing this mine that is, that was a big shock for Joanie to discover the biggest coal mine in Europe is 200 kilometers from our studio. So he went there, and at first it was not at all part of the plan to make any kind of art installation from that. So it took time, and Joanie went there on a regular basis, really as an activist, as a citizen, feeling concerned about the situation. But then because of the beauty of the images, we thought, okay, maybe there is something really strong to do, and also as a way to share it with the people, not as a documentary, like we want to tell you this is happening, numbers, blah, 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 but really maybe to provoke this similar visual shock, maybe aesthetic shock in a way, that when you look at it and you find it beautiful, then you realize the destruction, and you're like, okay, is it okay for me to find beautiful something that involves the end of the Earth system in a way? And so in the space, it's presented in 3 different moments, and the third moment where you see these activists that are trying once or twice a year to block the mine as a symbol. They block the mine for a couple of hours. It's not breaking anything. It's not, I even think the money loss is ridiculous for the big company, but it is as a symbol. So this part is all about symbol, the symbol of this frontier of, between what is left of the forest and this mine that is the size of the whole island of New York, Manhattan could fit in this mine. So yeah, it's a symbolic moment. And so the last part with these activists is actually the first time you would see human beings in a piece of Joanie Lemercier. And I think this is a very much work in progress thing, to realize that, okay, the situation is terrible. We have a role in it, like we have to admit we use technology, we are part of the problem, but because we are part of the problem, we can also be part of the solution. And it's important for us to convey this idea that it is not about the individual, but it's more as a collective, and furthermore about ideas and about a way to look at the world. And then I think this kind of led us to this final installation that you're going to see the clip in a few seconds. Yeah.
Shall we move forward? Okay. Pues nos podéis poner la última.
If you can play the last one, please. Desirable Futures.
So it's still very difficult for us to consider this room an installation. For us, it's not really an artwork on its own.
Sort of epilogue, right? Of the
Yeah,
exhibition.
it is an epilogue, but an epilogue that would be opening more doors than closing any. But working on this Ambar project, and we hope the audience will feel that the Ambar part is not perfect, because it's still a very much work in progress, and Joanie has so much feelings and emotions between him and this piece that it is difficult to be like, okay, this is the right, landscape, this is the right timing for the light. It's different because it's reality and you do not have so much control over it. So because of how this is still very much work in progress, we really wanted to include this kind of work in progress room that is, we kind of call it a mind map. So that's more or less everything that is in our heads at the moment, but also many, many upcoming projects that we felt. It's kind of weird in a solo show to share the projects that are not finalized yet, but because we hope we can be part of some solutions and bring some narratives to the table, we wanted to share them in the show. So we started since 2 years working with water screens. We started experimenting with the light of the sun. Joanie started working more and more with solar panels to plug to batteries. So you will, on some pictures, you will find the plotter machine that you saw before. You will see it with Joanie in the US desert, powered by the sunlight, drawing nature with nature around. So in that context, you can imagine that wind and sand and came into the artistic process. And all of this is so much part of what we feel we have to do now that it had to be in the exhibition. And
interesting the role you're giving to art, right? To see reality differently. And you as an artist, what role can you have and play?
It's So to be honest, it was very difficult to close such a show. This is our most ambitious show to date. And we are showing like a wide variety of projects and techniques and machines. So how do you close? How do you finish? And we did try a lot of options to have a very strong piece, a very strong installation. But yeah, as Juliette perfectly described, right now our state of mind is a little bit chaotic because not just, so there's an ecological crisis coming ahead of us, but also the state of the world right now is really shaking, and it's very hard to know where to go, how to react, so we try to share our state of mind with potential solutions that of course we might not find them, but we really want to inspire also other artists to look into low tech installations that possibly could be as striking and impressive, but maybe we don't need to use the latest graphics card or the latest computer. So we're sort of rethinking how we prioritize things. And I think our most impressive installation in public space, Constellations, that was shown in Barcelona last year. It was actually, so it's the most impressive work, I think, in big outdoor space. It was done with an old computer. And when I realized, I was like, oh, wow. So I'm always trying to...
We played a file of this piece in VLC. So, like, it's really part of it. Like, sometimes some company will want to use a really complex... But like, no, VLC. Like...
So in the past few years, our perception of the world has shifted slightly. So we still want to use technology. I still want to consume gadgets. But now that I understand the impact... I have a possibility to sort of prioritize things and rethink where we want to go. And as Juliette mentioned, like using the light of the sun and using water and doing installations in nature, thinking about possibilities of degrowth, but to go in a future that would be more positive than the one we have in mind.
And we are very aware also of some kind of naivety. It's like, oh, we are suddenly discovering that as artists and curator, we should be part of finding solutions. But it's honestly kind of new to us to have come to this realization. And we have so much to learn from, like artists who did crazy, very activist things in the US in the 70s. And we are also super energized by the fact that we are part of a scene. Like we are friends with amazing artists who are using technologies, who are the same age as we are and who have the same concerns. And we share a lot. We had this mini residency with our friends Claire Barden and Adrien Mondo, just like trying things on this idea of using low tech and trying to be less depending on some specific softwares or specific hardwares, and do things also like create a new piece by hiking in nature, these sort of things. So we feel it's a momentum for us, but also for people around us.
And we really have to thank you for being so open, also for that one piece that really came late. So thank you for your patience and the space you left to us. We put ourselves a lot of pressure because we wanted everyone to be happy about that final piece. But yeah, thank you for giving us the opportunity to close a show with an artwork that isn't really finished. It's more of a state of mind, and I think we somehow share this state of mind, and we're really thankful to you and all the foundation team, the Foundation Telefónica team. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you. I think the visitors will be able to do a similar parcours than you did, and the route, they will go down the same route, because you're starting with this very contemplative moment, very related to beauty, and you end up questioning things, no? So I think it really works, and the curatorial approach will be really noticed by the visitors, or at least I hope so.
So we're super happy that the show is on for a long time, so until 25th of July.
That's it, sí,
so
hasta el 25 de julio.
If you don't feel comfortable coming now, you have plenty of time, and we all hope there will be some better moments in the coming months. So we really hope you will come see the show.
Thank you so very much. Y bueno, como decíamos, yo creo que el espacio es un...
And as we were saying, we think that the space, it's a safe place. The facilities have very big spaces. So we invite you until the 25th of July. And as we always say, there will be educational activities, guided visits, and a parallel schedule that you can have a look at on our website. I think that there are no questions, so we can leave it here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here.